Imagine walking through a serene forest, the birds chirping, when suddenly the air fills with an eerie silence. What would you do if you realized you were not alone? In the verdant expanses of the UK, where tales of mythical beasts and ghostly apparitions abound, a new form of terror has started to stalk the shadows. Recent years have seen a startling increase in the number of encounters with creatures thought to belong in tales of yore or distant lands. Reports of pumas, leopards and other large felines, in regions where they are considered either extinct or never native, have spiked, sending shivers down the spines of outdoor enthusiasts and locals alike. These are not mere sightings, they are close, unnerving encounters where the line between observer and prey blurs terrifyingly. Each story is a chilling reminder of the wild's unpredictability and the thin veil that separates man from beast. Stay tuned as we dive into 5 bone-chilling encounters that will make you question just how safe you are in the wilderness. Our first tale takes us to the foggy moors of Cornwall, where legend has it, a beast prowls. Bodmin Moor, a vast expanse of wild, windswept terrain, whispers secrets of ancient times and harbours tales that chill the bones of those who dare to walk its paths. On a particularly misty afternoon, a hiker seeking solitude and the rugged beauty of the moors embarked on a journey across this desolate landscape. The air was thick with fog, and the only sounds were the occasional bleat of distant sheep and the hiker's footsteps crunching on the gravel path. As the hiker ventured deeper into the moor, a sudden rustling in the underbrush halted their steps. Assuming it to be just a sheep, the hiker called out, hoping to see the animal scurry away. But the rustling grew louder, more purposeful. Heart pounding, the hiker watched as from the mist emerged not a sheep but a creature of considerable size and feline grace. It was a large black cat, its coat shimmering slightly in the weak sunlight that fought through the fog. The most striking feature, however, were its eyes. Glowing, intense, almost otherworldly. They locked eyes, the hiker and the beast, in a silent standoff. Time seemed to stall, the moor holding its breath along with the hiker. The cat's gaze was piercing, evaluating the human before it with an unreadable expression. The hiker, knowing better than to run or make sudden movements, stood frozen, their breath forming small clouds in the chilly air. Minutes passed, though they felt like hours under the weight of the cat's scrutiny. Then, as quietly as it had appeared, the beast turned away. Its powerful limbs carried it effortlessly back into the embrace of the fog, leaving no trace but the memory of its presence. With the beast's silent departure, the hiker was left in disbelief and relief. But not all encounters end so peacefully. Next, we journey to the Woodlands of Surrey, where a peaceful picnic turned into a heart-racing chase. It was a crisp, sunny afternoon when the Hartley family decided to enjoy the great outdoors. The setting was picturesque, a serene clearing surrounded by the dense foliage of ancient trees, a perfect spot for a family picnic. As laughter filled the air and the children played nearby, nothing seemed amiss. Suddenly, the youngest of the Hartley children, a curious little fellow named Oliver, pointed towards the dense tree line, his face a mixture of awe and fear. "Look, a big cat!" he exclaimed. At first his parents dismissed this as a child's overactive imagination, but as they followed his gaze, their hearts sank. There, lurking just beyond the shadows, were the unmistakable glinting eyes and the sleek, muscular frame of a large puma. Time seemed to stand still as the puma crouched, its eyes locked onto the unsuspecting family. Panic surged through the Hartleys as they gathered their belongings in a frantic rush. But before they could retreat to the safety of their car, the puma made a sudden, powerful dash towards them. The father, thinking quickly, stood his ground. He waved his arms wildly and shouted at the top of his lungs, trying to appear larger and more intimidating. The puma, perhaps startled by his boldness, halted abruptly. It stared at them for a tense moment that felt like an eternity. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the creature turned and vanished back into the woods, leaving behind nothing but the rustle of leaves and the family's pounding hearts. Though the family escaped unscathed, the memory of the puma's piercing gaze remains etched in their minds. They often recount that day with a shiver, thankful for their safety but forever changed by the encounter with the Surrey puma, a ghostly presence in the tranquility of the English woodlands. Not all creatures of the night are mere shadows. Sometimes they are terrifyingly real. In the still, eerie darkness of Norfolk's countryside, a couple had set up their tent under a canopy of stars, anticipating a peaceful night embraced by nature. They nestled into their sleeping bags, the gentle rustling of leaves and distant calls of nocturnal creatures lulling them towards sleep. However, as the moon carved silver arcs through the night sky, an unsettling disturbance shattered the tranquility. A deep guttural growl sliced through the silence, jerking them from the cusp of sleep into heart-thumping alertness. The man, courage tinged with an undeniable dread, cautiously unzipped the tent just enough to peer out. His breath caught in his throat as his eyes met the chilling gaze of reflective eyes belonging to a massive, shadowy figure just beyond the fragile fabric of their temporary shelter. The creature, with eyes that glinted like cold stars, seemed almost curious, its massive head tilting slightly as if pondering the flimsy barrier between them. The couple froze, barely daring to breathe as they heard the heavy, measured breaths of the beast. It sniffed, the sound unnervingly clear, and began to circle the tent. Each step it took was deliberate, heavy with a wild menace that suggested power and predation. Minutes stretched into agonizing eternity as the couple remained motionless, every rustle of the creature tightening the knot of fear in their stomachs. Eventually, the sounds began to fade, the oppressive presence slowly withdrawing, leaving behind a quivering silence. They didn't dare move, didn't dare speak, barely allowed themselves to breathe, each sound from the outside world a potential signal of its return. The rest of the night was a torment of heightened senses and frayed nerves. Every small noise seemed a herald of doom, every whisper of wind a possible precursor to another visit. Dawn broke with a spectral light, and the couple emerged from their tent, the relief of daylight doing little to dispel the shadow of the night's terror. The couple spent a sleepless night, haunted by what might have been mere fabric away. Imagine feeling the ground tremble under the weight of an unseen pursuer. It was a crisp autumn evening in Cheshire, a time when the sun dips early beneath the horizon and shadows grow long and mysterious. On this particular day, a local cyclist decided to take advantage of the cooler temperatures to explore the winding rural lanes that snake through the countryside. As he pedalled along, the tranquility of the evening was suddenly shattered by an unsettling sensation, an eerie feeling of being watched. The cyclist, an experienced rider, initially dismissed this as a trick of the mind, a mere shadow cast by the fading daylight. However, the rustling from the underbrush and a subtle but distinct sound of heavy breathing soon suggested otherwise. With each pedal stroke, the sounds grew louder, more urgent. The cyclist's heart pounded in his chest as he realized something was chasing him, something large and fast. Panic gripped him. His legs pushed harder against the pedals, the bike's gears grinding in protest as he accelerated. Behind him, the sounds intensified, a series of heavy, thudding steps and the labored breaths of a large predator. The cyclist dared not look back, fearing that the sight of his pursuer might paralyze him with terror. Instead, he focused on the road ahead, the lights of a nearby village acting as a beacon of safety in the growing darkness. The chase continued, the gap between pursuer and pursued undulating as the cyclist navigated sharp turns and narrow pathways. Just as his energy began to wane and the sounds ominously close, the lights of the village grew brighter, the sounds of evening life reaching his ears. As he crossed into the more populated area, the terrifying pursuit abruptly ended. The sounds of the mysterious beast faded into the night, leaving behind a chilling silence. The cyclist's relief was palpable, yet the question lingered. What might have happened on a less travelled road? As we reflect on these harrowing tales, we are reminded of the wild's unpredictable nature. Each story, from the unnerving proximity of the beast of Bodmin Moor to the chilling pursuit in Cheshire, underscores a truth often forgotten in our modern lives. The wilderness holds secrets, and amongst those are creatures that command both our awe and our caution. The Surrey Puma and the Nightmare at Norfolk are not just stories, they serve as stark reminders of the thin veil that separates human civilization from the untamed natural world. These encounters, while thrilling, are potent warnings of the unpredictability and potential danger lurking in the shadows of the United Kingdom's lush landscapes. As we venture into the wild, let us do so with respect and a keen awareness of the environment. It's essential to recognize that these areas are not just scenic backdrops for our adventures, but habitats where powerful predators roam. While these encounters are rare, they remind us that the wilderness is not just a place of beauty, but also of beasts. Always be aware, for you never know what eyes might be watching from the shadows.